All right, so today we have JAX dropping the lantern wielding, who knows what. I don't know. He swings his staff around in League or something like that. But we got a lot of the weapons coming through. A lot of people expected JAX to come out. Not that I know much about him, but excited nonetheless as a Runeterran player. Let's jump into it. Looks pretty fucking cool. Origin, Grandmasters at Arms, auto-equip the Light of Acacia. Equipped allies have struck for 15 plus damage. 2 mana, 3/2. I assume this gives them quick attack, right? Okay, we did see what the improvise does. Sorry, I'm blocking a little bit of the. Let me see if I. There we go. So we'll just read this really quickly. So improvise is an interesting keyword. This is a 2 mana 1/1/1 summoned improvise, but improvise chooses from one of 2 random options from a depleting pool and equips it to this ally. If the ally wasn't played from hand, it equips a random equipment instead. Oh, interesting, because this is a summon, so you could technically like return this, and then it automatically equips a random equipment. But there is a pool of 8 equipment cards, and as you choose between the one of the 2, those equipment cards slowly deplete until you choose all 8, and then it repeats itself, which is really, really interesting. But I didn't even realize they self-equip. I guess that makes them a lot better, because at the very least, they're like actual stat lines. I'm like 2 mana 1/1, right?
Think you could fish up something to eat after this battle?
Wait, is that a 2 mana 2/3 impact?
Catch and release only.
And it looks like the Acacia, the Light of Acacia, did indeed get JAX quick attack, as I expected.
Do you kill everyone you beat?
Let me show you how we did it in Acacia.
This is a cool card. This like improvises on a target ally. You can choose an ally to equip a weapon. 2 mana overwhelm, and 2 mana fearsome, or +2/+1 overwhelm, or +2/+1 fearsome, +2 overwhelm. Yeah, with this faded stuff, it looks pretty decent. This is a really interesting card too. It's just a catch 1 mana burst, equip an ally with equipment that costs 2 or less. And from what it seems, equipments that cost 2 or less are generally like +2/+1, maybe +2 health. Yeah, it's a +2/+1.
Just me, or did he get a lot scarier in here?
Huh? No, Jax. I'm on your side. Don't worry.
Oh, so if it's ephemeral and it improvises, equips himself with a weapon, when it dies, it gives you the weapon back, right?
Glad there's a chef on the team now. What's for dinner? You got nothing I can't handle. A 1,000 years of battle and I'm just warming up.
What? Wait, does it auto equip again? Huh? Attack, give me +1/+1 for each equipped ally this round. That's that's very boring.
Keep it moving, team. Today we stand.
Hey, that card looked cool. It was like you share the keywords between 2 allies.
Today we stand.
Give an equipped ally the stats and keywords of its attachments this round. Give an equipped ally the stats and keywords of its attachment this round, and equip the attachment to another ally. Oh, I see. So it basically transfers a weapon over to another ally, but the unit that transfers over the weapon still maintains the keyword, basically the effect of the weapon for that turn. That's an interesting card. And also counts are faded as well. That's cool.
You're gonna want to watch this. Winning never gets old.
Okay, I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. It's not super exciting. Like he seems boring. If I have to be completely honest. Like this is a very much just like a stat stick, right? And it's so unfortunate. Like we see Bard's a stat stick, Evelyn has been a stat stick, Jax has been a stat stick. And they're, this origin, you may put any weapon master cards into your deck during deck building. Like these are just so boring. Comes to both deck building as well as even the design of these Runeterran champions as a whole. Because like they're not particularly designed as win conditions of their own. Like it's sort of like Demacia if Demacia didn't have rally, right? Now granted that some of these weapons and equips and stuff are pretty cool and can maybe like overwhelm your opponent, leading you to like snowball, but by design they're just so boring. Like we haven't seen like a single like win condition or like a return champion that's designed as a win condition. Is bizarre to me. Like, I don't know, because of how inflexible they are technically in deck building and how non-winning they technically are. Um, I don't know. The design just comes off as very boring as a whole. Now, Jax himself, his level up's pretty boring. His leveled up form is pretty boring as well, right? Because just again, it's just he buffs on attack. Something really special about him. Yeah, he just he comes down as a 2 mana 3/2 quick attack, and then if he's leveled, it gets overwhelm. And it's cool that this whole concept of like weapons, if it dies, you get it back in hand, so you can re-equip it, things like that. But even still, it's just not very exciting to me, unfortunately. But Jax is a 3 mana 3/2. It is fine. Is like the basic. If you can't go worse than that. Equipped allies have struck for 15 plus damage. Jax obviously counts for 3 himself. We see some improvised cards down there, but we'll get to them in a bit. It just depends again on how fast you can level up Jax. And even if you do, it's like, yeah, Jax is a 4/3 overwhelm quick attack that scales, but I don't know. Like you have to jam in a region that has protection if you want to like build around Jax. Maybe it's like a Jax Yi kind of deck. That'd be kind of interesting, but I don't think the weapons count as spells per se. Let's keep moving. Jax's Counter Strike, 3 mana burst, give Jax barrier this round, and forge him. Forge. I don't know what that means. And I'm not sure we know what that means. I'll have to see what that means. Jerseys is interesting. It just duplicates the effect of an attached equipment to another ally. For 2 mana, probably not bad given if the density of this deck, Jax himself just has a free weapon if Jax is leveled up. You're just transferring quick attack plus overwhelm onto your unit of choice. Like probably not that bad. And I think the equipments, there's 8 of them and they all have, different keywords. So at the very least, I don't think this card is too bad. But like as a finisher, like is this your finisher? I don't know. Like maybe you're just transferring like challengers. It's interesting because this card doesn't feel very like impactful as like a finisher card compared to something like Absolver, for example. Maybe it is because it's burst, so you can like catch your opponent off guard. I guess there is some merit to it. I'm not going to discount it too much yet because I think this card is actually decent. So for weapon masters, we have the improvised ones. Wandering Shepherd is probably the most interesting one. You got to pick an ally to improvise, which means that the ally you pick gets to equip the weapon, or you can just equip the Wandering Shepherd herself or himself. And then Ione Hookmaster, 2 mana, 1/1 improvise. Like these cards are just already better on like a base level compared to say like Nora's package, where those cards are understated. These cards at least, you know, are regularly statted and might even have a plus side of having like a keyword. So these cards are already looking decent. And it does make sense because Jax looks to be more of like a tempo snowball kind of deck. Entrancing Lure, Weapon Master. Give an allied challenger this round. If it's equipped, draw 1. And this is a good card. Because like you can play, let's say it's turn 3, you play Jax, and then you play Entrancing Lure. It's a draw 1, and then you get a challenger for the round. It's not bad. It's free cycle and removal. Like that's pretty good as far as cards go. I think it's very good for this sort of package. I imagine this card being pretty good. And then of course there's Catch, which is the give an ally +1/+1 this round, or equip it with an equipment in hand that costs 2 or less at burst. I'm pretty sure this bypasses the part where it can only play 1 equipment from hand per turn. I could be wrong. If it can, that's really powerful. If it can't, still probably okay, because then you can just basically use it to equip weapons at burst. I think this card's definitely like good. It just depends on like how many weapons you're actually gonna be running. But like every time an improvised ally or ally with an improvised dies, you know, you're gonna get that weapon returned to hand. So this card should always technically be active, as long as you either actually run weapons in your deck or you have the improvised targets. Because all the improvised cards cost 2 or less, and there's definitely weapons that cost more than that. But the you know, this mechanic is definitely very synergistic. Like overall, I think Jax's cards are super synergistic with each other, which is good, and that's cool because synergy is a huge upside. But the downside is that I think overall he looks kind of boring. So let's take a look at. I think we can take a look at the improvised cards. We'll just go back a couple days and just see what the rest says. I don't know if they revealed what Forge actually means. But if we go back to the other time, there's some really interesting cards. So Blades of the Fallen was teased in the in the Jax teaser, and this is pretty cool. So this is a 1 mana burst, give an ally last breath, summon an Encathian Mage with my equipment this round. I forgot how this works, if like the equipment returns to your hand or if the equipment is just auto, you know, transferred over to here. But like a 1 mana summon like a 3/2 with a weapon, like that's super high tempo. Like that's really, really insane. That's like survival skills kind of level of like good, which is really, really powerful given the fact that Jax is probably going to be this like tempo deck. Like giving something like just doesn't die, for example, is just really, really powerful. Like this is an insanely strong card. Hearts Made Whole, 4 mana burst, discard 1 and draw 2. If you discard equipment, summon an Encathian Mage. So 4 mana to draw 2 and then summon a mage, right? Like that's insane, right? Because you know you're this is super strong card. Like you're improvising weapons. The unit with the weapon dies, the weapon returns back to hand, and then you can discard a draw 2 while summoning a 3/2 at burst speed. Like hello, and we're talking about tempo here. You know, like you're getting a the Legion, the Undead Grenadier, whatever it's called, the Ruined Grenadier. I don't know what I forgot what it's called. The 3/2 ephemeral. It's like poro canning that out or rummaging that out, but it's not ephemeral. So even if like you want to discard it on your turn, like you still get the blocker, and if your opponent's attacking, you do this and you discard it out at burst, then you have a burst speed blocker. And tempo, same story, right? Just such high tempo game plans here, and of course super synergistic. Nextly, we have just a few more weapon master cards. We have a 3 mana 2/1 attune improvise. This is improvising on itself. It's attuning, which is cool because you know you have Catch, which is 1 mana. You have Blades of the Fallen, which is 1 mana. Like again, if you think about the synergy within these like kind of colors or in this deck, like if you're fully curving 1, 2, 3, and then you get a tune in order to like play Catch or play Blades of the Fallen, or just have any mana to cast any 1 mana spell. Like that's really, really powerful. And obviously, again, very, very synergistic. And I think we can look at the actual weapons. So we have Fix 'em Up, just +2 quick attack, a Pot of Pain, which is +1/+2 impact, Sandsworn, +2/+1 fearsome, +2/+0 overwhelm, +1 scout. Well, scout is in the pool, but then there's a +3/+2 can't block. That's only 6. I think there's 2 more. Ah, here we go. And then a +2/+1 attack, refill 1, and then a +2/+0 tough. So everything is +2 at the very least attack, except for the scout and for Pot of Pain. Only Pot of Pain gives +2 health, and apart from Shepherd's Authority, but that's a little bit more ignorable. And then there's only 2 equipments that give health. So it's very like notable that the equipments don't actually provide much in terms of survivability. So trying to use them as like relative like units to block is probably less rewarded than trying to be more aggressive. Now, of course, I'm like giving tough keywords something with like 3-4 health is definitely very impactful. But generally speaking, this deck doesn't really boost your survivability of your units. But that's all the cards, I believe. Yeah, that's all the JAX cards. Okay, so I do think JAX is a little bit underwhelming in terms of game design. But what I will say is that I think every card that we have seen with JAX is super, super synergistic with him as a champion, which I think is super cool. Because maybe if JAX is super synergistic all in himself, it makes him more flexible in how he is able to be deck built. And we might see some like interesting variations of JAX rather than say like Annie Jin, where Jin well, Jin could only fit in a burn deck, but JAX can fit in like this tempo deck, and there's a lot more regions that can support this sort of tempo game plan rather than supporting like the Jin burn game plan, right? So even though I think JAX is a little bit underwhelming, I think he can be more flexible in what sort of regions, colors, decks he can kind of fit in, even if he is executing the same game plan in every game. And I do really like his cards. I think his cards are super, super cool, all in with each other. So even though this isn't the champion I'm most excited for, it still seems like a decently designed champion at the very least, because I think everything sort of fits in together. And it's very interesting to see what sort of other regions they're going to be playing JAX with. I'm thinking like maybe like you could play with like Master Yi. You can maybe like, because you can equip Master Yi and then give him Challenger with like the Weapon Master card, and then you draw 1 and that's a spell. Like that could be a pretty strong combo. Like JAX Yi seems pretty interesting because then you also have like the Palms, you have Notify and Denies. You could play this with like Demacia. You could probably even play this with like Kai'Sa. It's probably not gonna be better than Demacia, for example. But like JAX Kai'Sa could just be like a fun meme deck. Like JAX Demacia is all probably like the given one where you just like abuse the stats with like rallies and things like that. Is there anything in the new champions? Maybe like Aatrox when it comes out. I don't know even. I'm not even keeping track for getting any more champions, but maybe you get one more champion. But yeah, like I feel like JAX is at least more flexible than what we've seen as far as something like Jin. So I'm very hopeful for what JAX offers to the table, but that's it for the JAX cards. Hope you guys are excited for expansion. Tomorrow will be seasonals, so good luck to anybody competing in it. I'll probably drop a video on my lineup tomorrow, so look out for that one. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time. So peace out, guys, and take care.